Women in Focus, a podcast by British Naturism. Welcome to Women in Focus, a podcast brought to you by British Naturism. I'm your host Helen Berryman, and today we're on episode 32. In this episode, I'm joined by Michelle Perry. She's a British Naturism member from the Brighton area in the UK, whose story I think is one that many, many women will relate to. For years, Michelle hid behind her clothes, convinced her body would be judged. Even on the beach, she wore big shorts, baggy t-shirts, rather than reveal herself. And today, Michelle shares how a chance invitation from an ex to visit a naturist beach first planted the seed, but it wasn't until a menopause-fired moment in her mid-50s, followed by a visit to British Naturism's Everybody Festival, that everything finally fell in place. So it brings me warm delight to welcome Michelle. My next guest is Michelle Perry. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi there. Lovely to meet you, Helen. It's so good to be here. I'm so excited about doing this.
I'm so excited too. And thank you very, very much for, one, getting in touch with me, and two, coming onto the podcast. So for the benefit of everybody else, if you could just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you've come from and how you've ended up in front of me today.
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a journey, to be honest. So I'm in the south of England. I suppose that's a good place to start. And most of my life, I've really struggled with my body. And I'm a larger woman, and I've tried to conform to the standard the whole of my life, feeling like I have to cover myself up. It got so bad that even on the beach, I would wear like long swimming shorts to cover up my legs in like recent years. I mean, it was just getting ridiculous. And then I discovered it through an ex of mine, actually. An ex of mine was going to naturist beaches near me. I live quite near Brighton. So he was going to naturist beach near me and suggested that I come along. And I was in a phase of my life where I'd already started doing quite a lot of work with my relationship with my body. So I was feeling a lot more open and a lot more confident and accepting of my body anyway. But I still had this kind of bit about wanting to cover up. And it was for my own sake, because I thought that my body would be really judged. But it was also for other people. It's a really bizarre thing. It's like that feeling of, are people going to be disgusted? I know that sounds extreme, but disgusted by my body.
I can relate to that totally.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's like we've been sold this idea of what a body should look like. And we're all trying to fit into that really narrow confines.
Yet no one ever does.
No, I know.
That's the reality.
And even famous people are photoshopped to beyond anything. So even they don't look like they look in magazines or films. It's ridiculous.
It is.
And those are the ones we're comparing ourselves to.
Which is an impossible beauty standard. They can't even do it, let alone you and I.
I know. And what's your relationship been like with your body?
Oh, terrible. Yeah. Wasted so many years trying to look a certain way or trying to fit the beauty standard that's been taught to us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the naturism thing, which took a long, long, long time and a lot of persuading and a lot of relearning, that I was like, I don't have to. I don't need this validation from other people. As long as my body's functioning, I'll wear my scars and say, hey, this body survives stuff.
Absolutely. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it feels like we've been conditioned into believing that. And a lot of it feels like, and this is me going on a slight rant, so I won't go on to this too long, because don't get me started, but it almost feels like it's there to sell us stuff.
Oh, totally.
Not for any other, unless you look a certain way. And even the people that look a certain way are still buying into that. You need to buy this beauty cream or this workout or whatever it is, this diet to look better, or inject yourself with something. And don't get me wrong, if people do that, that's up to them. I'm not judging them for it, but it just seems like it's just this really high, impossible standard that we all hold ourselves against. And I started to realize I don't want to do that anymore. And at the time, I was 56. And I think there's something.
Looking good, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. But it was like there was something about menopause that suddenly made me go, I was going to swear. What shall I say instead? I can't think of a word. Blow it. Yeah. You know, I can't keep doing this. I spent my whole life trying to minimize myself and I can't carry on doing it. And then I met my boyfriend at the time and he was like, fancy coming to a nature speak. I'd done a few other things around somatic stuff and also things like ecstatic dance and stuff like that, which really connected me into my body. And I started to kind of experience my body in a different way, which was more about feeling it instead of what it looked like, which I think was the start of everything. It was that change because I did some training to do with somatic therapy and that just opened up a completely different way of viewing myself and my body and the wisdom that our body has. And while we keep putting it down and criticizing it and seeing it as something to be changed and molded and made into something different or covered up and, you know, ashamed of, while it was being like that, you can't really hear its wisdom because you're kind of having a go at it. You know, you're not going to hear the things, the instinct that it's telling you and the things it's telling you about yourself. So when all that started to change, I was still covering myself up. So there was still some shame there. And it wasn't until I really found naturism that all changed. And my first time on the beach, I would say, wasn't the best experience of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yes. Tell me about that.
So it's a stony, pebbly, grey beach near Brighton, behind an industrial estate. It's really not the most beautiful place to start.
Right.
And we had to climb down to get to it. And there were definitely people there that for not pure naturist reasons, shall we say.
Yeah.
And that I found really uncomfortable. I'm very sex positive and believe that everyone has the right to be very open, but not in my face. You know,
Literally.
there's something about consent that doesn't really happen in that situation. But I did go there and I didn't strip off completely the first time. But considering at that point, I was probably going to the beach and wearing my long shorts to cover up. The fact that I was just in a bikini bottoms was huge for me.
Yeah.
It felt like such a massive step. And I did it a few more times with friends that really helped me get a little bit more. I never completely stripped off there. But to be honest, as you know what beaches can be like, some of them, not all of them. I've been to ones in Lanzarote recently, and that was amazing. That didn't have that
Meerkats.
mix. Huh?
Meerkats.
Yeah. It was really lovely and it felt really safe, which was wonderful. And I was with a male friend actually, but even so, it still felt really safe. So yeah, I probably wouldn't unless one of your listeners can say where there's an amazing beach that actually feels really safe and really good, then I might try that out. I'm going to go to Studlands.
Yes, that's on my to-do list.
Maybe we can meet up there sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll go together en masse, women only.
Take over the beach. But yeah, it was still a really positive experience because suddenly I started feeling my body in a different way. And it was more about the sensation of being naked in the sun, in the sea, and that mixture of being in nature, although it wasn't the nicest of nature then, but it was still in nature with everyone else. Was just wonderful. And there was an element of it that I actually loved. And also it was the bravery I felt and the courage I felt to do that. And I kind of felt like if I can do this, then I could probably do more. And so that was kind of the start of it. But I would have to say the best thing that I ever did was to go to Everybody, the festival.
So when was that? When was your first?
So that was 2 years ago. So 2 years.
Okay, so I was there.
Were you there? Oh my God. Was that your first festival or?
No, that was my first time at Everybody, but I discovered naturism. Oh, let me think now, 2020. So we've done Nude Fest every year since, and we only missed the first year of Everybody. I'm not sure if we're going this year yet. Like, summer's getting packed already with stuff going
Yeah,
on. It's mad in this country.
I love it though.
But yeah, so tell me about that. What prompted you to go to that one? What did you think of it?
So actually, it all came from the naturist beach that I went to. So there was this WhatsApp group that a friend of my now ex-boyfriend had set up. And he just contacted me out of the blue and said, I'm doing something at this naturist festival. I noticed that you're a member of the naturist group for this beach. I need a mixed group of people to go to the naturist festival to support me with what he was doing. Fancy coming along. Now, I had never met this guy.
Leap of
I
faith.
didn't know who it was, but I was in this kind of feeling of like, I'm going to say yes to things. In fact, my mouth said yes before I actually put my brain into gear. It was one of those moments of yes. And then I was like, oh,
What did I do that for?
and then I realised I was actually doing a workshop on that weekend. So I had to say, actually, I can't go. But I did say the following year, I'll definitely go.
Right.
So by the time we went, me and this guy, who's now a really good friend of mine, had met quite a few times. And then we went the following year, which was, 2 years ago now. And oh my God, it was the best thing I've ever done in the whole of my life. I would
Wonderful.
have to say I left there on such a high, feeling so good about myself. And it just felt so amazingly liberating that I was just like, I just need to do more of this. I was just there. I was sold. This is it now. I'm a naturist.
Who needs clothes anyway? But that was a good year to go, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so this whole social nudity is a real good selling point, I reckon.
Oh, totally. I remember the first night I was in there. I walked down because it was a bit chilly, so I had like a little wrap around my body. That was it. And I went to the bar and got a drink and sat down. And I was looking down as I sat down at the table. And my friend was still at the bar. And then I kind of looked up and realized it was just all men. I was like, oh, okay. In my head, I was like, oh, okay, this is okay. And then I just took my wrap off and just sat there chatting to them. And within 2 seconds, it felt absolutely normal. I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, we're all naked at
Yeah.
all. It just seemed really natural.
It's very easily forgotten.
Yeah, totally. I don't
Yeah.
think people really get how easily it is forgotten. You're not spending all the time looking at bodies and going, everyone's naked. You're just communicating like you do normally. And it just felt really freeing. And I just remember just having such a laugh and it just feeling so nice. And it was lovely. But I would take one step back though. Before that, I must admit, the week running up to that, I was at home thinking, oh, if Nick says he's not going to go, I'd be okay with that. There was a nervous, yes, exactly. Please, 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 just say you're not going to do it now. There was a nervousness in me.
Yeah, understandably.
It felt like a big step. It did really feel like a big step, but I'm so happy I did it. So it's opened up a whole different world to me. And it was like a cherry on the top of my transformation of how I related to my body. It was like the final piece that kind of changed everything.
So how has everything changed? What's your viewpoint now in regards to your body, other people's bodies? Because that is a thing as well. You know, people
Yeah,
say, oh, don't people judge? Well, absolutely not.
yeah.
And that is true. But I don't think, unless you're in that environment, people necessarily believe that.
No, exactly. It made me feel really different about my body. It made me see my body as something to be really felt and experienced and not judged and accepted and also celebrated and just as it is, not, half a stone less, not without wrinkles, not without wobbly bits, just as it is.
Mm.
And that was so amazingly liberating and so exciting as well. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that I don't get times when those critical voices come in.
We all do. We all have
Yeah.
days like that.
And I think it's quite natural,
Mm.
if we spent all of our lives, that critical voice as being very, very loud and very, very strong, it's not going to die overnight. It's not just going to suddenly disappear.
Mm.
But now I was going to say challenge it. It's not so much challenge it. It's almost I notice it's there and go, get lost. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I see you, I hear you, but I'm not going to actually judge myself by your stupid, no, stupid's a bit mean, but I'm not going to be judged by that anymore.
Mm.
And naturism has really been the thing that has allowed me to change that. Because being with other people that are all different shapes and sizes, all naked, all very, in a way, quite vulnerable, but it's like, oh, what's the word I want to use? It's like this joint vulnerability.
Yes, that's what I've said before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Because you're all, like I say, you're all naked, you're all vulnerable. And so there is this shared vulnerability. And with that comes a shared respect as well. And I think for me, that's the bit that's, indescribable.
Mm.
And the joy that I take away from it is like, I can be me here. Like, I'm not dressing up, I'm not trying to present in a particular way. I had a meeting the other day for which I had to be dressed for. I got totally stressed,
Mm.
phoning up a girlfriend saying, "What do you think I should wear? Yeah, this is insane." And I actually got into quite a panic about having to dress and be judged based on what I was wearing. Naturism takes away that. Like when you don't have to dress for something, it's like, oh,
I totally agree. It's like the masks are all gone.
mm,
There's just no mask there, is there? Because whereas our clothes can kind of indicate our maybe financial wealth, or clothes speak a lot about us.
mm,
And sometimes that's lovely, but as you said in your example, that can put a load of pressure on you in certain situations to actually wear something that matches what you're doing. And that then you get
yeah.
into that headspace of, oh my God, is this going to be okay? Or isn't this going to be okay? And all of that. Get rid of the clothes.
Again, it's other people's expectations, isn't it? So
Yeah.
somebody's expecting me to sort of present in a certain way. I mean, obviously, I couldn't rock up without any clothes on this occasion. But the whole like anxiousness of like, oh, and now I'm going to get judged. And yet
Yeah.
I don't get that in a naturist environment.
And it's so interesting because whereas people might look at someone's clothes and make an assumption or judgment, when you've got a naked body in front of you, you don't do that. You're actually really looking at someone's face
Mm,
and really, really focusing on them and not what they look like. And I think that's so amazing. And I don't think there's any other space that feels like that.
I haven't encountered any.
No, me neither.
And I think that's why when you, myself, and many, many other women, when they do experience naturism and the social nudity, lack of judgment, it inspires us to like tell people, do more. I want other people to know about this and experience what I've experienced.
Exactly.
And that's powerful.
It's so powerful. And was so excited when I saw this because one of the things I did feel when I went to everybody the first time was, oh God, I wish there were more women here because I really did feel like, oh my God, if more women could experience this could totally alter the way women see themselves
Mm,
and really help them come back to their bodies as they should do, really connect with their bodies instead of trying to hide them or criticize them or shrink them or do whatever it is
yeah.
to really make them. And what I think I love also about naturist women, as far as I've seen so far, everyone feels quite natural. And I think there's something connected to that as well. As you're more willing to be completely seen
Mm.
and accept yourself more fully because of that, you kind of then don't do some of the things that are less natural to yourself because of it. And maybe I'm wrong about that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging it.
So it's like showing up as your authentic self.
Yes, yeah.
So what I've experienced is that you actually form genuine friendships. And I have like, non-naturist friends as well, but the connection that you have with a naturist woman is instant because you're open, you have open conversations. I can't explain it, but it's just an instant connection and that develops.
Yeah, do you know what? I would love to make more naturist women friends. I have met some amazing women at events, but not ended up anything coming from that.
Right.
So I went to Woodlandia
Oh, yes.
and I met two amazing women there that we had some really deep conversations and it was so wonderful. But I think because they were up north and quite local and I'm down here, I don't know, we didn't exchange numbers or anything like that, but the connection at the time felt really good and really strong.
I'm sure your paths will meet again.
Yes.
Are you going to Nude Fest or are you going to everybody?
Yeah.
You're going to Nude Fest.
I'm going to Nude Fest. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Nude Fest. I'm going on the Thursday.
Are you staying though for the rest of the weekend
Yes.
after? Oh, good,
Yeah.
because I'm doing a ladies' workshop
Yes.
on Friday at 12, so be there.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to do that. That's amazing. Because I must admit, at Woodlandia, there were a couple of women there that were new to naturism. And also it was really cold. So we weren't actually getting as naked as we wanted to be most of the time.
Fair enough.
But I could feel a little bit that they felt a little bit uncomfortable and that kind of thing. So I think it's really, really important for women to welcome other women into naturism.
Yeah.
Because there's something slightly different from a man going up to a woman and welcoming her in
Yes.
to a woman.
Yeah.
And having that shared experience of what it's like going into nature. We're all different, but I think women have this underlying feeling about their bodies that, don't get me wrong, some men do, but I think it's a lot stronger in women because a lot of our value, or a lot of the way we've been told that our value is in the world, is in how we look.
Yes, which is, well, we're learning it's nonsense. And I think it's important for younger women to experience this so that maybe there's something in that actually, because we're both women of a certain age. And I think with the menopause comes this no filter.
That's a better way of what I was going to say.
Don't give her monkeys anymore. I'm not into being verified by a man or anything else like that anymore. Whereas younger people perhaps may still be and be criticizing their bodies or trying to fit into some sort of standard that we know is like unachievable. But if only they knew that their bodies are the best they're going to be right now and just love it, they'd be so much happier forever. They'd save years of torment to themselves.
Oh,
like a magic potion. Just try it.
yes. Come along, just try it and you'll feel different.
Yeah.
There was an advert where it was a woman looking back over her younger life. It was a few years ago. And one of the things, it really struck me because it was about looking at your younger self and going, why did you feel like that about yourself then? And, sometimes when you look at younger photos of yourself and you think, what was I so worried about? Why was I so critical of myself? And it's just so, sometimes it makes me feel quite sad that happens.
Yes.
Because it's like, I am really pleased that, women like us have got to this stage where we're like, no, I'm not putting up with this anymore. And I am going to step out and I am going to be visible and I'm going to be just me and, to hell with it kind of thing. And I think that's really important. But if younger women could really feel that earlier.
Wouldn't that be something?
Amazing. Yeah. Maybe we can start that movement.
Well, trying.
No, I can tell.
Simon and I have got 3 daughters. His 2 are the elder 2, and they've been brought up used to naturism, used to bodies and things like that. So they've got no issue with their bodies or taking part in a naturist activity. My daughter, however, the youngest one, when I started getting into naturism, my daughter went, oh, God, not you as well. But the point is, it's interesting to see the confidence that the older 2 girls have got about their bodies. It is a confidence, but it's like, I don't care confidence, not like, oh God, what do you think of my body or anything like that. They just don't care. They see it as what it is. It's a body. Yeah. But to see that and compare it to the younger one, it's like, Yes. So being around bodies from a really young age is really helpful to younger women.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's interesting though. I grew up in a household where my mum was really confident about her body.
Mm,
I say that, but she was also on a diet quite a lot. So I think there was a level of external confidence, maybe not that true, deep down inside confidence. But
mm.
she loved walking around naked. She always, whenever she was on holiday, she would always be topless, if not completely naked on a beach. She never called herself a naturist, but I just think that she just didn't come across as a naturist. If she had, she would have been there. But for me as a kid, it was funny because I was really uncomfortable with it,
Mm.
actually. And especially as a teenager, my sister was even worse. She'd be like, Mum, put some pants on. She was running around the house naked. But what I think that did do, though, even though at the time it felt really uncomfortable, it did give me a basis
Hmm.
of seeing someone that was comfortable with their bodies, or at least appeared really comfortable with her body.
Mm.
And she did do all of that. So I think that was in the back of my mind a little bit when I was thinking about going to a naturist beach and stuff like that. I think there was an element that knew that it could be really transformative. And maybe that's part of the reason that I was open to going there.
Yeah.
So I do think there is definitely something in that about being around parents that are naturists. My friend Nick, who's I came to the festivals with,
Mm.
his parents were naturist, and therefore he was brought up in that way. So
Right.
he sees the bodies, and I think there's a different way of seeing the body with naturism in
Yeah.
comparison to it's not sexualized in the same way that a lot of people sexualize, or the media sexualizes the body.
And well, even clothing does that, probably far more than a naturist environment.
Yeah, that's true,
We were
actually.
talking about just the weekend actually about bikinis and one, how awful they are to wear like in water. But it's basically three triangles highlighting your areas. Like, look at them.
Yeah.
You know?
And weirdly, lots of them don't cover up very much at
No,
all. So it's like, especially if you've got a thong type of bikini, you've got your butt out anyway.
your bum's out. Yeah.
So what is the point, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think I remember a friend of mine saying that when he was on the naturist beach, actually it felt less sexual to him than when he was on a normal beach and women were more covered up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's about context as well, isn't it? So if your intentions at a naturist beach are genuine, then you're not going to have that arousal thing.
yeah.
So it's all about context.
This is a really important thing for new women coming into naturism to understand that it's a very safe environment. It doesn't feel sexualized. In fact, it almost feels the opposite.
Yes, it's true.
I feel like the first time I went to everybody, what it reminded me of is when I was a kid and used to run around the garden naked in and out of the sprinkler. It had more that kind of feeling to it, real playfulness, especially when I was throwing myself down a slip and slide.
Yeah, well done for that. I didn't do that. No, I'm bound to break something.
So I'm not doing it this year because I broke my ankle walking off the naturist beach last year. So not slip and slide, just
Right.
walking off the beach. I was just like, oh God. But yeah, there's just a very different atmosphere. And I think it's really important also to new women coming into naturism to know that it's really well held, that there are wardens there and all sorts of things to really make sure that people are safe. Everyone is safe in that environment. And, I was somewhere recently, I went to Spielplatz. Have you been to Spiel?
Oh yes, it's next
Yeah,
door
it
to
was.
Sunfolk. So yeah, I've
Oh,
been.
Sunfolk's lovely. I went to Spielplatz, then went to Sunfolk the day
You might as well.
afterwards.
They're like next door to each
I know.
other.
You can actually walk between the two. We didn't. We drove all the way round. But
Oh,
yeah, it was lovely. And what I really appreciated was the wardens at Sunfolk were amazing. And, it's just such a lovely atmosphere. And when I was at Spielplatz, there was a guy there that they were a bit concerned about, and they escorted him off the premises
right.
very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because I do think that maybe what puts some women off is the fact that there's this kind of misconception that it might be quite sexualized. And I don't know, people have this idea that it's got something, maybe swinging and all of, I don't know if I can say that, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
like, there's that kind of thing that goes on. And when you go along, you realise it really isn't. It's
Yes.
actually completely different from that.
Again, it's about people's perceptions, like you say, and often, and I'm guilty of it myself in the past, was associating nudity with sex. That's all I knew.
Mm.
When you're naked, you have sex. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't be nude for any other reason apart from showering. So unlearning all of that takes a lot. But yeah, so this wider society is going to equate nudity with sex. So the more conversations we have about it, like we're doing, or whatever that may look like, it just quietly debuffs that assumption that it's all sexual.
Absolutely.
Because if that's what you're looking for, you'll be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for playfulness and really connecting with your body, then you'll love it. But if you're looking for anything else,
Yeah.
then no. But yeah, no, our bodies have been so sexualized. I think that's, again, another liberating thing about naturism, that it reverses that.
Yes.
Almost. Don't get me wrong, we all want sex and stuff like that, but it's not about the naked body.
No.
That's something else.
You're not going to find it at a naturist event. That's something
No.
completely separate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also think for women coming into naturism and the first time, there is that inner voice, there is that inner critic worried about how they look and how people might judge them and all of that thing. And I think what's really important to talk about is it's absolutely not like that. That's one of the most amazing things I've found, is that the people that I've met, men and women, at naturist events, there's no judgment there. We're all just there wanting to connect with each other, spend some time in nature, naked, and enjoy ourselves. And that's purely all it is. And people aren't there to judge you. In fact, I think it's the least judgmental place that I've ever been to.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. And it's nice to see. And when I came back from that very first experience, I then understood what Simon had been talking about for 5 years. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's right. Oh, dear. But because he knew of my body dysmorphia and struggles and all that, he knew that naturism would kind of sort me out.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him to be right either. But he was.
I can get that.
Well done, Simon.
Yeah, totally. Are you kicking yourself? It took 5 years, though.
Yes. Ideally, like I said before, if I'd have found it in my 20s, I'd have had a different outlook on myself and others, because I'm less judgmental than I ever used to be,
Yeah.
as well. So it's like win-win.
Yeah.
You're just nicer.
I think it affects you on so many different levels, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're right, it makes you less judgy, as well as, feeling that other people are less judgmental of you. It makes you more accepting of your body. But I also think body criticism can have such a big effect on your whole life. Mm-hmm. It's not just about how you feel about your body, but it's how you move in the world.
Yeah.
So it can affect the jobs you go for, it can affect your mental health, it can affect the relationships you have and what you put up with. So it can have such a massive effect. And when you turn that around, those other things start changing as well. You are not willing to accept less than. You don't feel that you're less than. You start seeing your true value, your value as just being you, not having to prove anything, not having to do anything, not having to be any different, just you. You know, that line in Bridget Jones, just as you are, which always got me.
Lovely. We don't do the bit of Mark Darcy.
Yeah, exactly.
But wouldn't it be lovely, though, if we knew this early on, that we are enough, and there is no benchmark. That benchmark is fake. It doesn't exist. And to be able to learn that in your 20s or earlier would be lovely.
Can you imagine knowing that? Because as a kid, you know that. Like, it's almost like it would be lovely to just be able to take some women's hands and lead them into it. And I
Yes.
think that's what you're doing. By all the stuff you're doing is that's what you're doing. You're kind of taking women's hands and saying, I know what it feels like. And I know it feels a bit scary. And you probably feel like you want to run away. But honestly, come in, try it. And when you're at the other side, you tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure some women maybe it wouldn't work for. But I think for most it would.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware, but we do ladies only holidays as well at British Naturism.
Yeah, you've just come back from one, haven't you?
I have, yeah. We just came back from Greece with Richomatis in Crete, and it was 7 women. Some hadn't been on a ladies' holiday before. One of them came to the one last year, and that was her first ever experience of naturism. So to have her come back for the second one was amazing. She's definitely coming on the next one. But to be sort of witness to someone else's story like that, and to witness their fears and then the genuine joy of experiencing this freedom. And it's not just a freedom about the body, is it? It's your mind frees up. And you're like, oh, that's the liberation, is letting your mind free up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I must come on one of these holidays because it sounds amazing. But yeah, there is something so transformative and beyond anything you can imagine in something so simple. I think there's something really important about really being seen. Just as you are. And I think there's something that naturism does that other places can't really do, which is allow you to be completely and utterly seen with nothing else is a barrier.
Yeah.
And standing.
No makeup.
No makeup. Yeah, no. I mean, no
Total
makeup,
festival hair.
But, oh, God, my festival hair. Oh, God. But I quite like that, actually.
I do.
But you get to that and you're like, oh, I don't care. I don't care what I look like. I'm just enjoying it. I remember being at Nude Fest last year and stumbled across the belly dancing. And I was like,
Oh, that was my workshop.
oh, that was your workshop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so good. It was my favourite part. That and the spa. And obviously being naked.
Yeah,
Are you doing
fun.
belly dancing this year?
Might do. I might tack it on. I've got something else planned and some like campaign chat, which I'll try not to be boring about, and then just finish it up with some fun and joy and jolliness and silliness. Everyone likes to be silly.
Yeah, definitely. That silliness is so important, actually. Yeah, it was really weird because it was baking hot last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was so hot. And I was with my friend helping out on his kind of drawing machines that he does.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah, that's where I was most of the time, helping out with that. Apart from when the reptiles were about, I disappeared. I'm a bit scared of snakes. So I decided to stay in the Bedouin tent so that I could see them coming if they escaped. Furthest away from. Anyway, but yeah, I was wandering around and I stumbled into your belly dancing class just as it was about to begin. And I was just like, it was great. I had so much fun doing that. But yeah, it was very hot. I mean, that's the other thing with naturism. It's like, oh, why do you want to be in loads of clothes when it's a baking hot day?
Yeah, that's the practical side of it.
Yeah. You don't want all these clothes on your body that are like sticking and stuff. Sadly, I live in a flat and I've got a balcony that's right overlooking a road. So I can't go onto my balcony and just get naked. I'm just like...
you could, but...
I was like, maybe not. But yeah, it is the most amazing thing. And I think you're doing such a good job, highlighting how incredible it is to women through the podcast, through everything that you're doing. I really love the Women in Focus articles. I think they're amazing.
Because it's relatable. Like every woman's journey or story is different. And, what I'm trying to do is provide a library of stories that other women somewhere along the line will relate to, one of us at some point. So yeah, it's incredible that the women that have got involved want to get involved.
But I think having stories or hearing other women's stories really helps, because then I think my assumption before I went to everybody was that all the women were going to be perfect, or what I could perceived as perfect in my eyes. And they were all going to be young, and they were all going to, and this is part of the reason why I was feeling a bit nervous. And I was just like, "Oh, but just go and just see." And then there was all sorts of different shapes and sizes, all sorts different ages of women and men and everyone that was there. And it was just such a nice mixture of people. And it felt so welcoming and just so lovely. And I got chatting to quite a few people. It was so easy to chat to people as well. Nature's are really chatty.
And you find they are, and you find yourself having quite bizarre conversations, actually, really very open conversations. And you,
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
particularly what I found on the women's stuff, you're sharing stuff that I probably haven't told my textile friends, and yet I'm telling you guys. I'm like, why? But it's safe. Again,
Yeah.
it's really hard to articulate the trust and the sharing and respect and stuff that you find within the friendships within naturism. It is unlike anything I've experienced before.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. That just made me think maybe that's what we need to bring to the streets with all these horrible protests going on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what if everyone was naked, everyone would be just getting on with each other.
Well, that's what I said. All the politicians need to give it a go. Like, have a day in the boardroom in Parliament, sort this country out, take your kit off.
But yeah, it could be incredibly liberating. And I think the more people that do it and the more particularly women that find it, the more we can overcome and we can almost stand up to these pressures to conform. I think that's an amazing thing, because you stop looking at all of these adverts and stuff and this, trying to sell stuff based on your insecurities. Because once you liberate yourself from that, they don't touch you as much. Don't get me wrong, it's not that they don't touch you at all, but they can't really get at you in the same way as they used to.
I agree. For a little while there in society, I thought we were sort of coming out of this pro skinny vibe going on and celebrating the plus size models and celebrate your curves and the whole body positivity. But recently, with all of the headlines about the weight loss pills and all that sort of stuff, it seems to be that we're going back the other way and we're pro skinny again. Everyone's got to be skinny, skinny, skinny. Yeah. And I'm like, here we go again. But it's women like yourself and me and many others that have been on the podcast before who've taken ownerships of our bodies. We're healthy, we're happy, we are who we are, we present as we present. We're actually realists.
Yeah.
Gravity is doing its thing, menopause, childbirth, all of that stuff. But it's signs of life. We've done that.
Yeah. And also, I've got something called lipidemia, which is where the body kind of stores fat in really kind of weird ways. And you can't diet to get rid of it or exercise really more to get rid of it. There are things that can help a little bit, but nothing will really change it. It's something that I've really found out over the last couple of years. But the fact my body does amazing things like dance and walk and enjoy the sun, I'm like, just because it doesn't look a certain way, yes, sometimes it can feel a little bit like, don't get me wrong, if someone gave me a magic wand and went, you could look a certain way, I probably would do it. I know that sounds, so it doesn't totally get rid of that, but I do not want to, and again, this is no judgment on women that are using things like Manjaro and stuff, but personally, I considered it and then went, do you know what? I don't want to put something into my body like that. As long as my body is actually, I can still enjoy it and it functions and it does all the things I want it to do, then I'm just going to be accepting of how it is as it is. And I agree with you. I feel quite sad that we've gone back to this skinny, there was that line, wasn't it? Nothing tastes as good as being skinny. And there was something about that really struck me. It was like waging the war on, what was the line? Waging the war on weight, lose weight, all of this kind of stuff. It's like we're waging wars on our bodies. And actually what's wonderful about naturism is there's a softness. There's an acceptance. There's a non-judgment. There's a embracing of who you are instead of trying to change and control who you are by whatever means that is. And it's so sad that we all feel so kind of conditioned into believing a certain thing, we should look a certain way. We're doing these things to our bodies. That to me, there's a real sadness in that. And in naturism is the right word, antipathis of that.
Yes, yeah.
The opposite. It's like this joy of all bodies, this being totally naked and stripped back and just being purely yourself and loving that feeling and spending time with other people loving that feeling. It's just, there's a pure joy. There's a pure joy in that and a pure, like almost like an abundance is a word that pops into my head of absolute pleasure in it, you know, and that joyful, this is my body and I'm going to enjoy like, you know, throwing myself down a slip and slide.
Rather you than me.
I did not think I was going to do that. The beginning of that weekend, it's because I was in such a joyful, playful state that when my friend said, come on, let's do it, I was like, yeah. Halfway down, when I started going very fast, I was like, what did I do? When I landed at the bottom in a pub of like laughter, I was like, no, this is wonderful.
Again, it's the silliness and the joy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really lovely. I don't think you'd get that in many places.
No.
I do like the venue of everybody as well. It's really lovely. And anyone that hasn't been before, it's a really beautiful place. You're really set in loads of trees and there's a really lovely kind of function hall and the food's good as well. There's a really nice caterer that comes and does food and the sauna is lovely. But yeah, I really like the layout there. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It's
And
nice.
Nude Fest is lovely, but it's kind of a slightly different vibe.
Oh,
It's a bit
totally different.
festival. But I did love the spa there. The spa was amazing last year.
Okay, if a nervous woman who's listening right now and thinking, I'd love to try this, but I'm terrified or I haven't got the body, what would you say to her?
I would say contact one of us. You know, if you want to chat beforehand, we can share what our experience. And also, if you want someone to meet up with you at somewhere, more than happy to meet up with you at like one of the festivals or wherever really. And because I know it can feel a bit intimidating to go first of all.
Yeah.
So, and be really gentle with yourself because it will feel a little bit scary, you know, but also realize you don't have to be totally naked either.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
an important thing to remember that only be as naked as you want to be. What you'll find is like, I tend to walk around with a sarong on most of the time. And then when I'm lying down or sitting down, everything's off. But when I'm walking around, for me, just on my waist, quite like, even though the sarong is actually quite see-through, it just gives me a bit more comfortable. And usually, as soon as I sit down or I'm lying anywhere, it's everything's off. So I think it's important to realise, you know, we're not forcing you to be naked, and you go as fast or as slow as you want to go, and you take as much off or as little off as you want to take off. What I would say to you is give it a go because you do not know how incredible you might feel after it. And there is nothing like that experience. I wish I could go back and do the first time everybody over and over again. Because although I still feel great when I go, that first experience left me on such a high. I felt so amazing. I just came away and I was so joyous for so long. Everyone was like, what's wrong with you? That kind of thing. Look, I just say, just give it a go. And if you're going on to maybe a local event, just like, there's lots of things like skinny dipping swims and that kind of thing, which is really lovely. You can just go, I'll just go along to experience a little bit, see how I feel. Helen's amazing. I'm more than happy if anyone wants to reach out to me. And anyone that lives near Brighton and wants to do it and wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy. I probably would say maybe don't go to a beach for your first experience because there is a bit of a mixed stuff that goes on beaches and it's not pure naturism and are very, very different, especially BN, British Naturism events are so different and they're so safe and they feel so well held that, you know, it's a very, very different experience.
Perfect. Couldn't have put it any better myself. If the Michelle sitting here today could go back and speak to the woman packing the car for Everybody Festival that time, full of anxiety
Yeah.
and wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake, what would you say to her?
I would say, you won't believe how amazing you're going to feel after this. Love every moment. Those nerves, those nerves are justified and fair enough, but absolutely, you will not believe how amazing this will be and how much it will change your life. Yeah, that's what I'd say to her.
You have been fantastic, Michelle.
It's been so good. We just laughed so much.
If people want to know more about you, Michelle, I can put your social media links on the show notes.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not on social media a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
But email address, I'm more than
Yeah.
happy for my email address. Or I'm also, my VN profile's there, so
Yeah.
anyone can contact me through that.
Perfect.
Although then they have to be VN member, don't they, to do that?
Yes,
Yeah,
but that's a good incentive to join.
exactly. And it's really reasonable as well.
It is. You'll have to write your
£60
story.
a year is nothing. Yeah, I joined this year, but I finally went, do you know what am I waiting for? I'm going to join BN and I'm just going to, be fully involved in the community.
Yeah.
And learn more about what's going on and that kind of thing. And it has been really welcoming.
Right. Well, you have been wonderful, and thank you so much for reaching out in the first place. And it's been great to chat to you and get to know what you're all about.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you at Nude Fest is the next one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll come and find you when I get there. I'll send you a message and go, I'm here.
Yeah, please do. And don't
Yeah.
forget my workshop.
Oh, I'll definitely be there. Absolutely will be there. Can't wait. Oh, it's been so lovely talking to you, Helen.
Oh,
Thank
you
you
too.
so much for having me on.
Oh, thanks
I
for
really
coming.
appreciate it. Oh, it's so amazing. And as I said, it's amazing what you're doing. And I just any way I can support it, I'm more than happy to.
Lovely. I appreciate that. And you know that I'll get in touch.
Absolutely. Do. Absolutely do.
I will. All right, Michelle. Well, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Take care. See ya. Bye. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today and for being so open about your journey. I know that there's going to be plenty of women listening out there who's going to recognise those feelings of self-doubt and that fear of being judged. And hopefully your story will give them the confidence to really realise that they're far from alone. If you've enjoyed this episode, indeed any of the other 31 episodes, please do subscribe so that you never miss a conversation. If you think someone else would benefit from hearing Michelle's story or any of the others, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the podcast with them too. The more women we reach, the more we can help challenge misconceptions and build confidence together. If you'd like to find out more about Women in Naturism, you'll find the links in the show notes, along with the details of the Women in Focus written series and other aspects of the campaign. So until next time, thank you for listening. And remember to like, share, subscribe, follow on all the socials. You'll find me with my name. I've been your host, Helen Berryman. Join me next time as we bring more Women in Focus.